sets that you can use. If you go to the connector area and you search for Moto, this Moto data, under Moto data retail, let's see, where is it? I'm sorry. It's, come on, Dan. It is in the sample data connector. I'm sorry. Sample data connector, the data source that we want, there are two of them. And again, you don't have to use these. Yeah.
Man, 1 minute. I made a huge blunder, everyone. So I hit the go live button, but there was a second button that I had to press in order to actually have it go live. So just barely went live. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, folks. I can't believe that happened. So we're just going to have to start from the beginning again on that. I didn't want to let you get too far before we had to, start answering questions again. Sorry, folks.
No worries.
But I was having so much fun reading the chat, and I saw people saying, "Where's the video?" So we're live now. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We really love hearing all of the fun Christmas traditions that you love to do. Dan is here with us today. He's going to bring us some amazing information about how to use app components in Domo. So since he was already in the mode, I'm just going to let him take the reins back over. Again, I apologize for that, folks. We're glad that you're still here. Thank you, Eric. And Dan, take it away.
Hey, Grant, don't beat yourself up too much. Eddie did that once too. I'm sure that second button was put there to prevent stop some crazy situation that happened, but it's not the first time it's been. So don't beat yourself up.
You know what? This is our first ACE webinar, so you guys are all the guinea pigs. I'm just glad that we're live now. Thanks, though.
I'm glad y'all hung out. The couple of salient points that we hit earlier on as we were commenting on everyone's comments and chatting is we quietly released app components into the product back in November. Super excited to be doing these ACE hands-on with you guys again. We're going to do that today as it relates to app components. And I feel like app components are a game changer for our customers. I'm going to show you a couple of really cool examples, and we're going to build some today. So if you haven't had a chance to play with them, now is a great opportunity to. If you have, hopefully you can learn a few new things. But yeah, Grant, no worries on failing to hit live. I can't remember all the stuff we missed, but that's the Reader's Digest version.
Yeah, you guys missed out on a lot. That was the best intro I've ever done in my life. So
we'll have to make it up for him on the next one because we're committed to doing these again. We're going to be back like we were the first half of this year. I love spending time with you guys in the community, as does the whole team. And so we're excited to be back on the hook and getting these going on a regular basis again.
Yep.
So we'll do a lot more. You can get it right next time.
Yep. Yeah. Well, we'll get it right next time. I will hit that go live button like I never hit it before.
All right. I will jump into sharing my screen out here, and I want to show you guys. So this is an example that I borrowed from a customer. Let's make sure we get my screen share up there. Grant, if you wouldn't mind. There we go. Perfect. So I borrowed this example from a customer. We've got some sample data similar to this that we'll use. But the reality is, if you guys are like me and so many customers I see, you oftentimes find yourselves where you've got a lot of information you want to display in a dense space, right? Here's a list of products where we've got a lot of information about their sales price, on-hand units. We've got information about our retail sales reps and some of their performance. And while this is a bit of an extreme example in table card land, I still see so many people that are building cards to solve this problem of displaying a lot of information in a small area. And while 16 charts is really cool, oftentimes we just turn to tables because we've got a lot of information, we don't have a lot of space. Well, if we introduce app components, I started with what I just showed you, and in about an hour, I did this yesterday afternoon, I got to this point where we've got a really beautiful, elegant, interactive App Studio app, and I was able to do all this without writing a single line of code, right? App components elevate the experience so much, where previously something like this was only available in pro code territory. If you look here, we can go into our merchandise and we can see, those same hero metrics, but now we've got details down here on all of our different products, right? And I can even drill in and understand in more depth exactly what's going on, right? So I can see the UPC, our inventory on hand. A similar experience we've baked out here on this associates page, right? We've got some really cool search. If I want to search for, my girl Carrie, right? We can see here's Carrie Johnson. We can drill in and understand. And a bug was introduced yesterday. You noticed my refresh there. The team's on it. They're going to fix it on the drill. We've got to do a refresh right now, but that should be fixed in no time. But we've got some cool things we've baked in here. Or we can even do things like, send Carrie an email where it's going to pop up in Outlook with that whole mail to hyperlink you can create. We can see all sorts of details and taking it beyond traditional drill paths, but allowing to do things like, hey, I've only got 15 units of my brand C blue casual shoes on hand. I want to order some more. Let's get 100 of those coming. And you can see that we've preceded this workflow start form with some information about the product. And we've gone ahead and kicked off our inventory order workflow, right? So it goes beyond just presenting things in a much more visually compelling way, but allows you to actually incorporate intelligent action and some things like that easier than ever before. So hopefully you're excited about all of that. I want to jump in and build some of this together with you guys live right here, like we do at Ace Style. So you're welcome to use any data sets you want. There's certainly no requirement to use the data sets that I've got, but if you want to follow along exactly, go to the data center, go to Connect Data, and search for Sample Data Engine. I've got two data sets in here that I used to build out those app components you saw. They are called retail products. So we scroll down to the R's. I passed over R. Where are they? Data source, I'm sorry, is Moto Retail. And then the two reports are retail products and retail sales reps. So retail products is one, retail sales reps is the other. They're each 100 or 200 rows. They should deploy relatively quickly. So I'll give you guys a moment to grab that sample data. Why we do that, I want to echo Grant's thank you for sticking around. Abby, I agree with you. You got to love technology. It's so great and seems to fail us sometimes at the most critical moments. And Shannon, this is being recorded, so you can revisit this. I don't know where you're watching this from, but you can revisit it at the same link that you used to register. It'll be on our YouTube Live. I point people to that a lot. If you go to YouTube, you find Domo's page, and you click the Live tab. You'll be able to see it there. And so hopefully you had an opportunity to get those two data sets again, retail products, retail sales reps, but also not a requirement at all. So I'm going to do this in two different tabs to make it a little bit easier to have our reference material. I'm going to open another tab here and we will pull up our instance. And what we want to do is we want to start in App Studio. That's where app components live. And we're going to create an app. You could choose any theme, a custom one, anyone that exists. I think I will go with this Domo Classic theme, but pick your poison. Isn't really relevant or pertinent for what we're doing here, but I am going to give our app a name. I'm going to call it Webinar Live Example. All right, perfect. Hopefully you've all built stuff in App Studio before. What's new here and what you'll see is under actions and elements, we've got more pieces of content, right? So these app components that we looked at are these 5 right here. And I would imagine the product team's got more in store. We've got list, gallery, filter list, details, and banner. Those are the 5 app components. We're going to use most of those. I don't think I incorporated filter list into what I did, but why don't we start by, maybe let's start by building out this associates experience right here. So this particular app component was a gallery. So if we drag gallery out there, you can see that it's got some templates for us. And there's a variety of different ones. The cool thing about these, one thing to keep in mind is this is just a template. It doesn't lock you into anything. If I choose gallery 2, but I ultimately want all different stuff that it includes, it's fine. We can edit it the same way we can edit a dashboard. I'm going to go with gallery 2 and I'm going to hit save. Now, one thing that happens, you'll notice that it pops up and it's got information populated already. And we've got this blue banner at the top that says you are previewing this template with sample data. So anytime you go to build an app component, the product team's got some sample data behind it. Doesn't show up anywhere other than here, but just so that you can see exactly what it looks like with imagery and all of those sorts of things. Over here on the left-hand side, you've got the ability to add layouts and widgets. We'll talk about that more in a moment. But this component configuration is where you can give it a title and a description. After all, this is just a card. So I'm going to call this Associates App Component. It's just going to make it easier for me to find it later if I want to, incorporate it into some other pages. There's also some cool things that we can do here around show search and show sort, which we'll do in a moment after we wire it up to a data set. And then you can set all sorts of things like the width, the height, spacing. We give you a lot of options here. And then the ability to have some filters that you can incorporate as well. So let's power from data, and I'm going to grab that retail sales reps data set. You can see it's got 200 rows. We can see our columns, everything there. You all are familiar with that picker. And now we've got it powered by our live data. So what we can do now is similar to the way that you build a dashboard or a page within App Studio, you're effectively doing that in these components, right? So if I click on this image, for example, I'm going to make this a little bit wider. So there we go. I've got it kind of laid out in a funky way on my screen so I can monitor the chat and whatnot. But each one of these elements you click on, it tells you which widget type it is and allows you to configure it. So over here on this plus side, you can see these are the different widget types. And similar to how you, like I mentioned, create content in a dashboard or an app, you can just drag these different things and drop them in the appropriate place inside of your app component. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to click on the image up here. The images are really cool. It really elevates things if you've got data that's got images. And what's neat is you can have your image source either be a data column or an external URL. We'll do both examples today, but for this one, I'm going to do a data column. And remember, each one of these squares in this component represents a row of data. So I choose column image with URL. And if you're following along with my same data set, there's an image URL column. And as soon as we pick that, we can see that it populates with our employees' images. We've got the ability to set heights to round corners. If you want their picture to be round or different ways you want to lay it out, right? You've got the opportunity to do all these things. I'm going to go with 8 pixels on the rounded corners and this same triangle view that we've got there. Now, where we've got EMP001 here, if we look back to the example that I had built, we had their name, We had their tenure, what their role is, what department they work in, their store. So let's kind of show how we constructed those different elements, right? First thing here, if I put a label on this, we'll just type in the word label. You can see that in this title widget, it shows up kind of subtext above it. In this case, I'm going to leave the label off. I feel like name is pretty self-explanatory. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a value from my data set, and I'm going to insert the full name. So you can see I choose full name, we insert it there, and we can theme, or we can adjust exactly how that text looks by clicking on it, right? So I can indicate that it's body, that it's a heading, and we can play around with it. We see the changes propagated in real time. I think heading 3 looks pretty good. It is set currently to fixed height. I'm going to change that back to flex height. It means it's just going to occupy the space in the best way that it sees fit. But you do have the opportunity to adjust width, height, all of those things on a widget by widget basis. So we've got the fact that it's carry. Adjacent to that, if we look back to my example, I'm going to walk you through a few different things here so you really understand all the different elements that are at play. You can see we've got this pill over here that shows their tenure. So I'm going to grab a pill widget. I'm going to drag it out here, and I'm going to, if you can see that blue line next to Carrie's name, I'm going to drop the pill widget there. And for this pill widget, I don't really need there to be a title, right? That word title appearing above the pill is what you were seeing there. And inside of the pill, similarly to how I inserted Carrie's name, I'm going to insert a value, and I'm going to insert Carrie's tenure. Oh, experience is what we call it. I'm sorry. Experience in years. So we can see, 1 year, 6 years, 3 years, 2 years. Now, I'm going to play around with a couple of widths here, right? If you look at this example that I've got here relative to the one I built out, these cards are a little bit larger. We've got a lot more spacing here. We accomplished that through this setting over here on the side where we can configure the card width and height. I'm going to widen our card width just a little bit. I'm going to go with 350 pixels. Seems like it might work good. And then show you how we can play around with the width of these different things. So I'm going to set the width on our pill here. I'm going to fix it to something like, I'm just going to play around with it, 70 pixels. That might even be a little bit wide. Maybe we go with 50. I love how you can see our changes in real time, right? This gives us room that we can see Carrie's full name now. We can see the tenure next to it. And we're making some progress. Underneath the name, in this example here, we've got this little image, their role in their department. The widget that I used for that, I'm actually just going to click on this Carrie Johnson one that's here. I'm going to delete it. We don't need that guy. We'll go to this image plus text widget that's already there. We can start to play around with this one, right? We don't need to add one here because the template already had what we were after. But again, looking at our reference material where we've got store manager and home. For the image source, we're going to go with data column, and the URL is housed in the URL images column, right? So you can see we've got that value there. Obviously, this is dummy data. This is something we threw together. You're certainly going to have a lot more meaningful data, but we've got that here. And then for the text, right? We've got a text and a title. We've got store manager and home. We want to display their title, right? So if we go to value, we can see their job title, right? So you can see that Carrie is an assistant manager. Eric's a senior sales associate. And then in our description, let's go ahead and enter the department. Right, so you can see that Carrie is the assistant manager in women's clothing. Right, we've got a little rack of clothing there. For Eric, we've got a little picture of the jewelry. He works in the jewelry department. So it's coming together nicely. The one other thing that we incorporated in here before we jump out and we look at styles, sorting, and search is this store down here, right? So the way that we're going to add that, I'm just going to delete this button that we've got here. We're not going to incorporate a button in this one. We're just going to add icon plus text. I'm going to drag that out here. I'm going to drop it on there, and you can see we've got label, text, and description. I'm going to choose an icon. I think that one that I used was called home. There we go. So we'll add the home icon. And I like the way that I kind of played around with that. I made it pretty big, right? I might have even used extra large before. So that looks too big. We'll go back to large. I don't need a label on here. And I don't really need a description either. We don't have to use all these elements. I just want to put some information where the text is. Go back to our reference material. We've got the store, the city, and the state that these individuals work in. So I can compound different values from my data set. So I'm going to go to value here. I want to insert the store number. And then I can intertwine this with free-form text. Oh, and I'm sorry, I don't want it in the description. I want it here in the text field. So I'm going to insert the store. I'm going to throw a pipe in there, just again, to replicate what I threw together the other day. And now we'll insert some other values. We'll go with city. We'll put in a comma, and we will insert the state. All right, so we can see that Carrie is at store 100 in Pasadena, California. Right, so we can go around. There's tons of things we can play with, guys, across all these different widgets. But I do want to show a couple of critical things that weren't necessarily super intuitive to me. So I want to make sure we take an opportunity to hit on those. One is style, right? So you can change the style, and these are controlled by your theme, right? So that's a whole rabbit hole we can go down, but just understand that you've got your different styles here that you can configure. You can play around with those right here, or you can do it after we've created the app component. I can show you how we can do it there. But find a style that you like. And then I want to talk about search and sort. So if we toggle those on, like I just did, you'll see that sort and search appear up here at the top. Now, there's a little bit more work that has to be done before sort and search are functional, right? If I click on sort, you'll see I get this right-hand rail here where I can choose the style. So again, referring back to styles, these are button styles. So we can set our style. I'm going to go with style 4. You can go with whatever suits your fancy. But the critical part is that neither search or sort will work until you target which columns in your data set you want them to go after. So in the case of search, I may want to search for an employee's name, may want to search for an employee ID, may want to search for everybody with a certain title or a department, a store number, and a state, right? So we can choose which columns we want our search to go across. And until you come in here and you pick some, the search isn't going to do anything. That bit me the first time. And same with sort. So when you go to sort, you can add and remove different categories that you can sort by. So I may want to sort by name, by department, by store, and state, right? You could choose whatever you want to. And one thing as it relates to the sort, after you configure the sort here, you've also got, even if you don't have sort enabled on your app component, under filter, you can choose how the content is sorted by default. So even if sort is turned off, you've got the opportunity to choose your sort here, and you can apply filters. So if you want to only filter to anything, everything in your data is available here. And as it relates to calculated fields, beast modes are available to be leveraged inside of the values. They're able to be leveraged in all these places, so long as the beast mode is saved to the data set. So once your beast mode is saved to a data set, it's going to show up in the sort, it's going to show up in the filter, it's going to show up in the values, but just be aware, it's got to be saved to the data set. One other thing I want to hit on real fast before we jump into showing you how a couple of those other ones were built is actions. So similar to how you can configure actions in App Studio on literally any element inside of there, you can configure actions on any element inside of an app component. So if you saw in this example, right, when I clicked on Abigail's picture here, it took me to this associates page where I've got this other app component. There we go. There's that bug that I talked about, where it shows all the details about that individual that you clicked on. The way that that's accomplished is through creating an action where I say, hey, I want to open content. I want to open a page in app. You know what? I'll show you because we don't have any other pages built out yet. If I were to edit this app component, you can see the action that I prescribed to the photo. Come on. I love Abby's comment about technology. We're flirting with the demo gods here. If we edit this app component, I don't know why it's not letting me edit it. What I had done is I just indicated that I wanted to open another page in the app. And once you've done that, you can indicate if you want filters to be passed and which columns you want to pass as filters. So I just said, hey, I want to open content. I want to open another page. And I want to pass the filter for full name, right? Because again, I'm clicking on a row of data. So any column in that row can be passed as a filter upon that selection. I feel pretty good about what we've got here. I would take our actions further had we had more content, but hopefully you all understand how to do that. And we are on somewhat limited time here. So we'll revisit actions in another example that we build out here in just a second, but I'm going to go ahead and save and close. And now you can see that we've got our app component here in our page, right? And depending on sizing, again, you can change your styles and whatnot here. We set the card width to such that looks like the way my page is laid out, there's two of them showing. Obviously, as the screen gets more real estate, you get more space. But we have got an app component now, right? We can see our employees, their faces. We could easily incorporate an action in there. And we've got our first one. So second thing that I want to show you is how we created these headers at the top, right? So we've got like this sales reps item up here. It's relatively nice looking, right? We just demonstrated how we can replace a table card with an app component. But I feel like app components make really nice headers, and it's a super, super, super low level of effort. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to edit our page. And this time, the item that I'm going to grab is going to be a banner, right? So I'm going to bring a banner, put it here at the top of the page. You can see I've got 3 different examples or templates for a banner. I'm going to go ahead and grab this guy. And what's cool, what we're going to do here, I'm not even going to wire this thing up to data, right? I'm just going to edit this thing. I'm just going to say, hey, I want a title. I want it to be sales reps. Just going to type some text in here. I want sales reps to be really big. So we'll say heading 1. I don't need this button, so I'm going to delete this thing. And as far as the image goes, again, I'm not powering this to data, so I'm going to go with an external URL, and I'm happy to share this in the chat, but I just found some images online. Here, I'll go ahead and drop this in the comments in case you want to use the same one. But I'm just displaying an image from a URL. I'm going to go ahead and round the corners. I'm going to adjust my style. I really like style 1, but I'm not a huge fan of the 12 pixel inner padding. So on the items, so I'm going to eliminate that. We're going to delete our button. And just like that, without even powering it up to data or anything, I've got my real nice sales reps header, right? That was actually the same exact thing I did for creating what you see here on the home page. I've got merchandise, got these images, C reps. Again, this is just an action tied to a text widget that allows me to drill into another page in the app, right? So I said open page in app, and there we go. So just pausing really quick. We've looked at some really great examples. We've gone through together and we've built out our sales rep page. We grabbed those couple of sample data sets. We showed you how to build a header or a banner. It's not even powered by data. It's just a real nice header that exists there at the top of the page. We built a gallery app component where we talked about how we can incorporate action. We used a handful of different widgets. We played around with the style. We adjusted the width. We added search and sort so that you can, see exactly how the search works. If I want to find, my girl Carrie, I can search for Carrie. Looks like I've got 2 of them, Carrie Johnson and Carrie Pennington. And we did that in like 15 minutes, right? Super cool stuff. Not done yet, though. I want to build, I feel like we should build one more. And I'm thinking that we should build either this inventory or this merchandise page. Merchandise has got a cool action where we drill into details, right? And we can see, that detail view. The other guy we've got here on inventory has got this really cool action where we're ordering some stuff. Maybe we go with that one. So what I'm going to do here is in our app that we're building, I'm going to jump back to the edit page, and we're going to create a new page in our app. And I'll just leave it as page 2 for now. We don't need to get fancy with that. But we're going to edit this page 2, and let's add a gallery component. All right, cool. This time, I'm going to go with gallery 1, just kind of as our starting point. But there's a couple of cool elements in this one that I want to show you, specifically how we got some of this iconography. We've got this stuff in kind of 2 different columns. We've got our button, we've got our image. So I'm going to power from data, and this time we're going to use that retail products data set. 100 rows, 27 columns. There we go. So that's powered by data. Similar to what we did before, I'm going to click on that image, and I'm going to grab the image URL, which is creatively called image URL. So we've got our image there. Right below it, it shows row number. I want to just swap that. I love these templates because they've got so much of the work done for us with the product name. It's got our product name there. I like the height. I like the sizing. I think this looks pretty good. Let's see. So we had our price, our sales, a breakdown of our sales and our inventory, and this order additional button. So let's clean a couple of things up here. I'm going to delete some of this stuff that we don't need. All right. So underneath the title, we're going to add a widget. And I'm just going to grab the, sorry, I've got to revisit what I did here. All right, price and the price. So I'm going to grab the text widget. I'm going to drop it right here. And I'm going to label this as price. So you can see that's kind of the subtext heading there. And for the price, I'm going to insert a value. We're going to insert a numeric value. We're going to go with sale price. Now, as it relates to, pardon me, as it relates to things like numbers and dates, another thing that I found that was really cool, that wasn't necessarily super intuitive to me, was if you click on there, you've got the ability to adjust its formatting. So we're going to say that this is currency. We are going to go ahead and use a couple of decimals because, you know, that's important in this world. And in case we've got any long numbers or expensive items, I'm going to go ahead and use the thousands separator there. So this is also our sale price. So we'll add sale price there. And then also, I think I want sale price to be bold. I really want it to stand out there. So we've got our sale price, and then adjacent to that, we wanted to show our total sales. I'm going to grab another text widget. I'm just going to drop it to the right of our sale price. Click on our newly added widget here. We'll call this total sales. And again, I'm going to insert a value. I'm going to insert the total sales. Just like we did before, I'm going to indicate this is currency. I'm going to give it 2 decimals. These are big numbers, so I'm going to choose to abbreviate these. You can do whatever you want to, but I like that 1.15 million as opposed to, you know, a 7 or 8 digit number there. Just like I did before, we'll go ahead and make this one bold so we can see it there next to the sale price. Now, I think this is all clicking for you guys. You guys are all smart. I do want to focus, though, really quickly on these bits right here. So we will grab just a regular text widget here, and I'm going to drop it right there. And what we want to do here, what I did in this case, is I didn't include a label. I just put everything in the text, but you can insert icons in here. So I inserted an icon. In the case of web, I think I chose this one called computer. Does that look right? Yeah, computer. And then again, like we did before, I intertwined this with text. So computer, the word web, and then the ability to insert a value. And you can see we've got web sales. All right, so just like we did before, I'm going to tell it that it's currency. I'm going to give it a couple of decimals, and I'm going to ask it to abbreviate it. So we've got 517K in web sales. We can choose the color of our icon by clicking on the icon. I'm going to go ahead and make it white. And now we can see that we've got web. And just for posterity's sake, we'll add one more. We'll do mobile. I think you guys are getting it, so we don't need to walk through every one of them. I want to focus on the action. So let's come in here. Again, I'm going to get rid of the label. I'm going to insert an icon. I'm going to go with the phone icon. Go ahead and make that white so it stands out a little better. And I'm going to say mobile. And we will insert a value. We'll go with our mobile sales. There we go. All right. We can tell it this is currency. Go ahead and give it 2 decimals, and we'll check both these boxes. Now you can see that we're running out of space, right? So there's a couple of ways you can address it, right? You can adjust the size of these things, right? So we can make our text smaller. We can go down to paragraph. We can play with different ways of formatting the text. I'm going to take it back to body. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and under the settings, just to remind you exactly how it's done, I'm just going to make our cards a little wider, right? It looks like an extra, did 20 pixels do it? No, let's go with 320. All right, so we can play around with that. It looks like I put a return in here or something. But I want to focus on this edit button now, right? Oh, I've got the letter L right there. That's what pushed us down. Okay. So this edit button, right? If you saw in that example that I got over here, we had the opportunity, we can see, our on-hand units. We've got the ability to order more. It's very cool. So I'm not going to get into workflows here today too much, other than letting you know that you can incorporate them. So I have a workflow that I created in this environment. I'm going to go to my button, and I'm just going to give it that label, order more, whatever we want to call it. And for that action, again, I'm going to change this. In order to initiate a workflow, I'm going to grab that initiate a workflow with form inputs. So you can see I've got my order additional inventory workflow that I created yesterday. This workflow requires two parameters, right? It requires a product name and a quantity. I'm going to choose that workflow. And this is very similar to how the drill path filters work. I can say, hey, for each one of these parameters, I can say I want a static value. I can put nothing there, which means that the form just won't have anything populated. Or I can say I want to pass a value from a column in my data. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the product name, which is what is included here in our component. I'm going to leave quantity alone. I'm not going to put anything in there because similar to that experience that we just created, I want to allow the user to be able to enter their quantity. I'm going to go ahead and hit save and close. And now we've got our app component, right? So we can resize it. I'm going to go ahead and save this thing. And we can see how that order more button works. We can click on there. We can see that our brandy black shirts or whatever product we clicked on, pink running shoes, is populated there. And then we can just adjust our quantity and we can start a workflow, right? So there's a lot that we can do here. Hopefully this was helpful. It looks like there's some questions around when I highlight a word in that control and hit delete, it doesn't. I have to use backspace. All right, Mr. Rose, good feedback there. Katie and Abby are asking about aggregating values, and is there a way to filter what's being aggregated? Monthly and yearly sales derived from the same column. The way that you would do that, remember, each one of these components represents one row of data. So pretend you were building a table card. You need to take the same approach to aggregations. So if you wanted an aggregate value, right, you would want to create a calculated field that shows the sum of that, right? We don't have the opportunity to choose aggregations there, but you can go in your data set, you can choose a sum, save that to the data set, and then that'll be available for you. Abby, your answer around filtering what's being aggregated, have monthly and yearly sales separately derived from the same column, that is exactly how you would do it. It is a new feature. The engineering team has been incredibly responsive to feedback and requests that have come from the beta users and from us in the group. So I would encourage you to share feedback that you've got inside of the community forum, in the ideas exchange, and all those different places. I have absolutely no doubt that they will add additional functionality into there as it relates to things like choosing aggregates and whatnot. Can't speak for the product team, but I know that they're very excited about the potential that we see here. Colin, what's the simplest way to run an ETL from an app, a workflow? Yeah, you can have a workflow that you click a button and it tells the data flow to run. That's no problem. And then Jason asked about images are hosted via Unsplash. Is the recommended approach to host images outside of Domo? No, you can host them inside of Domo. You can put them in a file set. You can put them in the Files API. I did this yesterday afternoon, and the Unsplash images were easy to find for a lazy guy like me who just wanted some pictures real fast. So certainly no harm, no foul in hosting them in Domo. That was just what I chose to do on the quick and dirty. Grant, back to you,
Dan,
my friend.
I feel like that's what a lot of these functions are made for lazy people like us who just want it to be easier. There's no harm in wanting it to be a little easier, right? Thank you so much, Dan. This was phenomenal. I can see why the community gets so much value out of these ACE webinars. And I am so thrilled that we're going to continue doing them into the future. So our next ACE webinar is going to be on January 15th. And from there, we will begin our bi-weekly cadence. So folks, please make sure that you sign up for that so that you can continue to learn more about how to use Domo in the easiest, best way possible.
Hey, one thing I wanted to throw out too, we encounter we have, hundreds and hundreds of customer interactions one-on-one every week. So we get a lot of exposure to what you all want to do. But if you've got ideas, share them in the community, things that you want us to cover. And you can shoot an email to ace@domo.com. Can't promise you're always going to get a reply, but it'll get read. And I'll see that. The team will see it and would love to hear any thoughts, any feedback on what we can do better, any topics you'd love to see discussed. You can get those in front of the team that way, and we'll certainly take it into consideration for this series that Grant threw out. Grant, what's the best way for them to is the community the best place to make those requests? Is there like a certain thread around that, or?
Sorry, the connection went bad there. What did you say?
Just the best way for these guys to, is there a certain area in the community where they should make those requests? Obviously we threw out the email, but where people can pile on, is there a certain thread or anywhere in the community where?
You know what, since we're on the fly, I'm just gonna, I'll say, we'll make a thread in the community forum that people can just make comments on and shoot out ideas for topics that they would like to discuss during the ACE webinars. So
cool. Sorry to put you on the spot there.
No. It's so easy. We can do that. Absolutely. And we want to know what the community thinks is important to talk about. So absolutely, we can do that. Okay. Right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Again, thank you for sticking around and allowing us to make you guys our guinea pigs for this stream. But yeah, I think this is going to be really fun to do moving forward, and hope you guys got a lot of value out of learning from Dan here. Well, everybody enjoy your holidays. Dan, what's your favorite Christmas tradition? We didn't ever ask you.
Oh man, we cook a bunch of Mexican food and hang out. We go to a movie and hang out Christmas Eve into the night, and we open our house up to our family dynamics a little crazy with, both my wife and I's parents are divorced, big family, lots of siblings. And so we open our house up, we let everybody come hang out. We just cook a bunch of food and play board games, watch movies. It's a ton of fun. Man,
that's what it's all about. I love that. Wow. So everybody go do something fun. Go live your traditions during the holiday season, and we will catch you in the next one in January. See you next year.
Thanks, guys. See ya.